A Circle City Conference showdown on the north side. From Guerin Catholic High School in Noblesville, this is IHSAA boys basketball action on IndianaSRN. The Golden Eagles of Guerin, number 17 in Class 3A, playing host to the winless Heritage Christian Eagles. Tonight's broadcast is brought to you by the Morales Group, building better futures one story at a time. By Bertner Electric, your licensed and experienced electrician serving Central Indiana. IU Health, a lifetime of support with a winning degree. Piper Logistics, 3 services, 1 logistical solution, and by Reynolds Farm Equipment, your hometown farm equipment dealer. Well, alongside Craig Cox, I'm Kurt Darling. Circle City Conference play ramps up tonight, not just for these 2 teams, but many other teams in the conference. In this one tonight, the Eagles of Heritage Christian are looking for their first win of the season, and they've been getting closer each game of their first 4, losing to Columbus North by 17 points in their first game, but then losing by just 1 to Southport 3 games later. But then you had Guerin Catholic, of course, coming off of this loss to Pendleton Heights here just a couple of days ago back on Tuesday after winning 3 straight and then losing their opener. But needless to say, right here at Guerin Catholic here, Craig, they have a chance to bounce back on right here and get back on track this season.
No, they do. Obviously, Guerin's coming in with a few extra games under their belt. Obviously, kicking off conference play is big. It's something to play for, not only to kick it off the season, but what that looks like, towards the latter part as they head into sectionals. But, both these ball clubs, you got one in terms of Heritage that has played up every single game in terms of a lot of 4A teams. 3 of their 4 games have been that. So it's been a rough part of the schedule to kick off the season. And, we got a couple losses here that Guerin's coming off one here with Pendleton Heights, and then obviously the opener that they lost a good Park Tudor team too. So both these teams coming in tonight with a great thing to play for with conference play, and I'm sure Coach Allen and Coach Wallace are certainly looking forward to this for their kids.
Of course, Guerin Catholic coming back here for their only their second, or rather only their 3rd home game of the season here. They were on the road at Pendleton Heights. They start the season with 2 road games, so needless to say, this is going to be their last home game for a while though, because they're going to go on a 3-game stretch, which includes a neutral site at Warren Central there on December 29th. So this is going to be the last home game for the while here for Guerin Catholic, so they may as well try to make it count here.
No, it is. I mean, obviously they've had good balance from the outset in terms of having a little bit more home games than they've had away. But it's a little tougher, obviously, going on the road and not being in front of your home fans. But again, this should be an exciting matchup between two programs.
You have Bob Allen as the head coach of Guerin Catholic. He is in his 4th year at the helm of the Golden Eagles, 52-25 in that stretch. He is 108-99 as his 10th year as a head coach here in the IHSAA. Heritage Christian, they're under 2nd year and still relatively new head coach Warren Wallace, 11-13 in his tenure here so far. He is also a confidant of Jack Kiefer, who was the head coach of Lawrence North, who they actually played earlier this season. And having talked to Coach Wallace here earlier here this week, he talked about how, it's a little weird having, knowing that you played for Jack Kiefer as well and won a state championship with him at Lawrence North, as well as coached with him at LN, but now he had to coach against him earlier this season. And just, what do you think would go through his mind having going against an opponent like that in Lawrence North, knowing that you actually face your mentor there?
Well, and as we talked about earlier, they've played up in almost all their games so far, and it's always a little different going against someone that used to coach under and with, and certainly an iconic coach in Coach Kiefer. But they played them really well. I mean, it was a 9-point game, so great showing from a 2A team to, a top 5 4A team. So that certainly boded well for them. Again, I think that this is a program, that Coach Wallace is certainly trying to not so much rebuild, but just kind of reset, if you will, the culture and a new foundation with 2 players that he has with certainly a Purdue recruit in Miles Colvin and Andrew Wiggins.
And you talk about Miles Colvin right there. He is one of the few returning starters on this squad here for Heritage Christian, standing 6'6". And, one of the things that he talked about there, we'll talk about more, though, coming up after just a little bit here for Heritage Christian, as well as Guerin Catholic. We'll get familiar with some of the players on their end as well. You're watching IHSAA basketball here on IndianaSRN. This broadcast is copyrighted by IndianaSRN and the Indiana High School Athletic Association for the private use of our audience. The use of pictures, videos, and audio without the expressed written permission of the IHSAA is strictly prohibited. Welcome back to Guerin Catholic High School alongside Craig Cox. I'm Kurt Darling. Well, Craig, we were just about to get into a little more in depth here with the rosters here for tonight's contest. We talked about Miles Colvin. You know, one thing that you mentioned, he's a Purdue recruit here out of Heritage Christian, and keep in mind, you know, he comes from an athletic family as well. His sister Raven Colvin playing volleyball up at Purdue. His dad also played for Indiana University football-wise. So needless to say, you have a long stretch of him. You certainly expect a lot from him game in and game out.
No, you do. I think there's a great genetic pool there coming from dad, and then Raven, as you mentioned, being a freshman at Purdue on their volleyball team right now. Miles is a kid that's really, lengthened out a bit over the last year. And keep in mind, too, this is a young man that's a junior. He's not a senior, and he's a guy that can really stretch you defensively. He's great in the open court in transition. And he's a load around the basket. Well, he's got a nice soft touch. He's pretty strong. But then they got some good size with Andrew Wiggins and Mason Kay as well at 6'4" and 6'5". On the Eagles, or we should say there's the Eagle side, not the Golden side.
You got two sets of Eagles playing here tonight, so we'll try to do our best to differentiate between the two. But then you take a look at this Guerin Catholic squad. Obviously, the main man, Will Grissom, averaging 24.2 points per contest. He was averaging almost 30 through the first 3 games of this season for Guerin Catholic. Needless to say, he's going to be a handful for this Heritage Christian defense.
He is. He's a very solid player, fundamentally sound, a kid that really doesn't press a lot in terms of allowing the game to come to himself. He's picking up about 40% of his team scoring, and as much as that's great for a coach to have, but you really want to try to find a little bit better balance in terms of having a supporting cast, because he's the only double-digit scorer that they have on the team. They have a couple that's pretty close in an 8-9 point scorer with Robert Sorensen and Lucas Parker. Obviously, we talked about it a little bit earlier as far as one of their stronger guys in the post is going to be Aiden Cannon. But yeah, I'm sure that Coach Allen's going to want to try to find, and the season's so young, but to be able to find some complementary players to come along Grissom's output.
And you talk about players coming along here. We got 1 minute before we go to our next break, but keep in mind there's one thing that these two teams have in common, and that's transfers. You have guys like Robert Sorensen as well as Kamia Chandler and also a whole bunch of other players for Guerin Catholic, but there's a slew of players as well. Dylan Doss, Austin Snively, as well as Landon Shipnell and also Nolan Duncan. There's a lot of players that transferred into both of these schools during the offseason.
There has been, and that's becoming a commonality just in the area, and it's kind of a trend, nationwide as well. And sometimes that can be a bit tough, for a coaching staff in terms of the culture and kind of getting reacclimated and getting introduced, if you will, to another program, and then trying to see how they gel in with each other, complements each other in terms of play.
Tonight's broadcast brought to you by the Morales Group. We can match you with the right career or hire the right candidate for your company. We do so much more than that as well. Let us help you today. Contact the Morales Group at 317-472-7600. That is 317-472-7600. When we come back, we will get some starters as well as some keys to the game. Tip-off coming up next here on IndianaSRN.
From warehousing to transportation and everything in between, Piper Logistics does it all. Centrally located, Piper Logistics has 2 warehouses in Indianapolis and a warehouse in Cincinnati, Ohio. Piper Logistics houses over 1 million square feet. Along with our transportation department, we can provide service to half the United States markets.
We encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, IndianaSRN. Hit the bell to get notifications for upcoming games and more. Watch as many games as you want, as many times as you want.
You want a career that creates experiences that are impossible to forget. By studying sports and events at IUPUI, you'll get hands-on experience in and out of the classroom. And with Indy as your classroom, there are high-profile events, sports franchises, hotels, museums, and large organizations across the city to engage, educate, and enlighten your student journey before you graduate. There isn't a better city than Indianapolis to get the experience you need to prepare you to handle any event, big or small. It all starts here.
This is the Frells family's land. When the sun comes out, the kids run and play right there. This used to be a shed. Now, it's where they get breakfast. This is more than just land. It's home. The Frells family runs with us on a John Deere 1 Series tractor. His land isn't the only thing that should live on for generations. Nothing runs like a Deere. Search John Deere 1 Series for more.
Visit Reynolds Farm Equipment, your hometown John Deere dealer today at reynoldsfarmequipment.com.
At Morales Group Staffing, we are all about building better futures. And during these times, we are working hard to put people to work. We are now hiring for hundreds of jobs with pay up to $17 an hour. Visit our website at moralesgroup.net or text JOBS, JOBS, to 317-472-7600 to apply now and get hired today.
We encourage you to follow us on Twitter at IndianaSRN. Find upcoming games, video highlights, and much more. Follow us now at IndianaSRN.
Getting set for Circle City Conference basketball action here on IndianaSRN alongside Craig Cox. I'm Kurt Darling. Welcome back to Guerin Catholic High School as the Guerin Catholic Golden Eagles, 3-2 on the season, number 17 out of Class 3A, are playing host to the winless Heritage Christian Eagles. Well, as we get closer to tip-off here at Craig Cox, as you just take a look at some of this talking point stats and everything else that you possibly consider here when you're talking about a basketball game, what are some of the keys to the game for both of these teams to be successful here this evening as we get closer to tip-off?
Well, I think one's going to be their Heritage's ability to control some of the half-court play defensively. I think that Heritage is probably going to be the team that will look to transition a little bit more in terms of probably like a little bit more pace. I think, Guerin's ability to have good defensive transitioning. I think it's, and their ability to probably contain. You're not going to certainly stop Colvin, but being able to contain him to where he's, in that 16 to 18 point range, puts him in a really good position. And then I think the ability for the Golden Eagles of Guerin Catholic to be able to see what type of complementary players that they have tonight support Will Grissom with what he brings to the table, I think will be key.
Let's take a look at the starters here now for Heritage Christian, and you definitely see here you'll have Dylan Doss going along with Miles Colvin, Jonathan Dortch, and then Andrew Wiggins as well as Mason Kay. And that's, of course, one thing you're seeing right there. You don't have the heights right there on your graphic, but needless to say, Heritage Christian brings a lot of size to the lineup.
No, yeah, they do. I mean, Wiggins is a kid that is 6'4", 6'5"-ish, but not only that, he's low. He's about 215, strong, really upper body. A kid that has really good feet, good post play. And so, that's something that we'll see how the Golden Eagles will be able to handle him.
And now you here have the Guerin Catholic starters, which is the same as usual, with Cherry going along with Sorensen, Etchison, Grissom, and Cannon. So not a lot of size here, but needless to say, they do make up for in a lot of good chemistry as well as athleticism, both in Will Grissom, but also Jack Cherry. He's only a sophomore, and yet he's probably one of the best defensive players in the conference.
Well, and at the end of the day, I mean, you want to find the floor or the field. I mean, in this case being the floor, you got to put yourself in a position where you can defend, and especially on the ball being that much more important. It's not a thing that's going to show up a lot in the stats, but coaches are always going to find ways to get those young men on the floor that are able to defend.
So Guerin Catholic coming off of a loss to Pendleton Heights. That was an overtime loss just 3 days ago, and that was on the road. So they come back home here to their Guerin Catholic Eagles Nest, and they get sent to go here for an opening round game in conference play. Do the Golden Eagles, Heritage Christian, they have already had a conference game. That was a loss to Bishop Chittard back on December 10th. That was a 5-point loss, which was then followed up by only a 1-point loss to 4A Southport. Craig Cox, we're set for some basketball. Should be a good one here this evening.
No, it is. And again, this is probably a little extra motivation. Every game matters, but kicking off conference play is always exciting for these programs and certain for these young men because it's something that they're playing for prior to sectional play starting.
And so we're underway at Guerin Catholic, and right out of the gate, Heritage Christian's going to have the basketball, and you see Andrew Wiggins very stocky up top, adding a lot of size, and he certainly uses it right there as he gets right to the hoop to get things moving for the Eagles.
Man, we talked about that there. I mean, just a good job of trying to set just a ball screen, kind of slip that, look to get the lob. Guy kind of overplayed it from Guerin.
And so now we see Guerin Catholic get their first crack on offense, and Matthew Etchison, a true point guard if there ever was one here for the Eagles. And here you have Grissom feeding it underneath to Cannon, and he just cannot corral it. He somehow falls onto it, and it's going to be a jump ball, the arrow favoring the Golden Eagles.
Yeah, and there was a great job, by Cannon actually diving through the post on a baseline play, but good active hands by Heritage there to get a hand on it to tie him up.
So Cherry takes it out, and you see Grissom slipping right there, trying to go for the inbound. It goes out of play, and it will be Heritage basketball. And that's one thing that Guerin has struggled with a little bit this season. They're averaging 15 turnovers a game.
Yeah, and you can't get those possessions back. I mean, you're in positions there where you got to take care of the ball, especially underneath your own basket. Executed the play well, but I think he just kind of lost his balance, and that's going to happen, so just bounce back here.
So Heritage Christian again 0-5 or 0-4 on the season. And pulling up from the elbow, and the bank is open for Dylan Doss.
Yeah, again, we saw a few of those last week too. I thought those closed at 5, but it's still open for him.
And you see a full court press here, but a spin move down low by Grissom.
Yeah, really great move there by Will, and better more just the footwork. Really had his guy on the high foot, and here we get
there's
a three.
Big three-pointer there from John McLemore, who lets it fly. And certainly a good start there for McLemore. Getting the start tonight in place of Mason Kay, and it's now 7-2 early here for the Heritage Christian Eagles.
Their ability to shut down penetration on Grissom, to be in a position, too, where he's having to feed other people, where he gets the three here, comes up a little short.
And so Grissom can't connect on that one, and Heritage Christian still holding on to the early lead.
Seeing quite a few early on here, quite a few high ball screens as we get a turnover by the Eagles.
And Kay can't quite feed it inside. Sorensen going the length of the court, and he lays it off the glass.
A really good job there of just getting downhill. We get good transition here. We talked about that with Heritage, really pushing the ball with Colvin with the three here.
And that's going to be a big one for Colvin, finally getting on the board.
And you got to like that, too, coming out of the gate and your perimeter shootings, falling. Second three now with even a two that they've had.
The up-tempo play here on both ends of the floor as Will Grissom gets on the board here now. Really right down the other way, though, comes Colvin.
Well, and you'll expect to see some of that. We talked about his athleticism and how good he is in transition.
So the scoring is definitely paramount early here as Heritage has doubled up on Guerin as we get our first foul of the ball game now as Cannon gets a little slap from behind there from Colvin.
Yeah, and great post-entry pass there from Jack Cherry. We had a situation where Aiden actually had his guy sealed high and really gave him good wide target to be able to get himself accessible to the ball, but Jack did a great job in feeding him.
And so Aiden Cannon at the foul stripe. He's only shot 4 free throws all season long, now making it 5, and he has made half of those.
Well, and when you got a kid like Aiden that's his size at 6'6", good frame, he's got to really assert himself and get himself to the line quite a bit more.
And he makes both free throws right there, so he gets on the stat book for the first time this evening, cutting it to a 4-point deficit here to Heritage. And still, you just got to like if you're Heritage, you just got to like the tone that they've set early right here, just kind of getting the momentum on their side.
They have. I mean, they came out with a high ball screen and had an alley-oop there for a little layup with Wiggins. They've gotten a few points in transition. They've hit 2 threes, so they've had really good balance here to start the game with some of these shots falling.
And so McLemore working on Cherry, kicks it back out, 3 on the way from Dortch, and that's just a little strong. So here come the Golden Eagles in transition. Etchison will leave it for Cherry. Cherry trying to split the defenders and trying to draw a foul into it and gets it off of the putback there after the turnover quickly from Heritage. And just a right place at the right time kind of play there for Jack Cherry.
Yeah, and, in those types of situations, too, it's almost the defensive sin where you try to save a ball and you throw it underneath your opponent's basket. You always want to throw those long to where you don't set them up, and Jack obviously had an easy putback there as we have Dortch with another 3 here coming up short.
And that's just a little bit off the mark. Back the other way, as you now see Lucas Parker into the game for the first time this evening. He comes off the bench, a dynamic three-point shooter, as you see Heritage kind of settle into a quick zone defense here.
And good job here. It looks like they're switching on these screens right away. Having that immediate presence coming off that screen really puts himself in a position as we have another 3 coming up here.
Etchison can't get that to fall off of the previous teardrops from Sorensen. Colvin goes the other way, Euro step inside and lets it go.
Well, when you got his type of athleticism, his not only height but his length as well, those are some pretty easy finishes for him when he's right there at the rim.
He has 7 quick points here in this first quarter, and it's still a 4-point lead for Heritage. So we approach the 3-minute mark as Etchison with it now. Has Doss working on him, and Baird lets it fly from the top of the key, and that doesn't go. And that was actually Parker on the shot. Doss on the other end. He's flushed back out. Loose ball corralled by Doss. He pulls up from the baseline, and the rebound comes to Parker.
Yeah, really tough shot. Times like that, ball's got deflected.
And Jack Cherry right down the middle of the lane again.
I think they got him before the foul, I believe. Before the shot. Looks as if, yes.
And so, look, yeah, they're going to say that was on the floor, so no points there for Jack Cherry as he'll now sub out of the ball game.
Number 13.
And so that's going to go against Jonathan Dortch. That's going to be the second team foul here for Heritage.
Have a 1-4 low set here, trying to get some things extended on the top side. See what type of penetration they might be able to get on this through the gaps.
Grissom working on Colvin, hits the double team head on, and Nate makes it happen. 6 points for him.
Yeah, good job of finding the seam there. And that's a lot of it, in terms of points of attack, is trying to read the gaps, making the next line of defense guard you.
And Guerin Catholic has cut it to a 2-point deficit, the closest it's been since about the 7-minute mark. And Grissom comes away with a steal looking on Colvin, who blocks him. And there's no call, and now they're going to say there was a late foul, and it is going to be against Heritage Christian. And it will be, this time, again against Dortch, it appears. Get him for the shove. There actually no
like
other way around. 31-13. It's going to be John McLemore this time.
Seeing a whole different set here. Last time went 1-4 now low. Now they're going 1-4 high with a little box. It's the second time they've really looked down low and gotten themselves in trouble.
Another turnover off the inbound there, and going the other way, a foul. And we'll see who they get this one on. It's going to be against Guerin, and it will probably be Sorensen. Correction, it's Etchison picking up the first foul here for the Golden Eagles of the half.
Yeah, and great job here by Nolan Duncan. Did a good job in transition. Anytime you got your defender in transition on his heels and backpedaling, you really got to get downhill and basically take that straight line to the basket, because the defense is just so susceptible to the foul, to where you either get 2, as he did, or possibly and 1.
And so you have Nolan Duncan here, again a junior transfer from Cathedral. One of 2 Cathedral transfers here on this, the other one being Dylan Doss, who is standing just off to your left on the screen. And there you have Duncan hitting both free throws.
Seeing some of this full court pressure, which is really good, trying to slow them down. Guerin's not huge in the terms of the transition. They'll push you when they can.
Grissom right down the lane gets it to go. He has 8 points in this first quarter. Working inside, trying to find Duncan. Puts the teardrop up, and Sorensen is able to poke that out of bounds, and they're going to say that it was off of Heritage Christian, and it is Guerin Catholic basketball.
Yeah, and at that time, Nolan did a good job of establishing himself, but when he's at his point of attack, he's really didn't square himself to the basket. And what we like to do is when we're getting to the basket like that's really getting chin-up basketball and going up strong.
So Heritage Christian, they're 0-4 on the season, but they're certainly not playing like it right now. Again, playing up to 4A and 3A talent, but they still hold the lead over Class 3A Guerin Catholic. And Dylan Doss working on Etchison.
They're backing this out, getting some coaching instructions here, trying to get in a different type of set. Here we see the high ball screen again.
McLemore looking inside. He's a three-ball shooter who also has a lot of size down low. Can't get anything to go there, and Sorensen gets out of the triple team to Cherry. And Cherry again, Euro step inside, can't quite finish it, and they're gonna say he stepped on the baseline, and so it's a turnover anyway to Heritage Christian. But you just kind of see that. That's very sophomore-esque play right there here, but still that just shows you that he has a little bit of potential once he gets a little bit more experience.
No, without a doubt. I mean, getting downhill, again, we talked about that a few possessions ago with Heritage. You're not guarded, so the whole thing is, in terms of preaching from a coaching perspective, is go until they guard you. If they're not committing, you continue to get downhill.
So Heritage is going to leave it for Colvin, who fires a short three, and Sorensen comes away with the rebound. And back outside to Etchison. There's a little bit of a mismatch.
Yeah, in these types of situations, when you kind of turn that corner, you really want to try to get downhill, making that next guy, pick you up and look to get kicks, having your outside guys off the ball, setting their feet for shots. Looks like it might be holding for the last one here.
So, 20 seconds left to go here. Etchison is content to let this dribble out a little bit, feeling a little bit of pressure now. And Heritage is flushed out. Camilla Chandler lets it fly and gets it to go on the teardrop. Nicely done by the junior. Back the other way, Heritage lets it fly. Doss for a long three, and that will bring us to the end of quarter number one. It is all 6 teams on the scoreboard. Quarter number 2 next on IndianaSRN.
From warehousing to transportation and everything in between, Piper Logistics does it all. Centrally located, Piper Logistics has 2 warehouses in Indianapolis and a warehouse in Cincinnati, Ohio. Piper Logistics houses over 1 million square feet. Along with our transportation department, we can provide service to half the United States markets.
Can't get to a computer? Then we've got you covered. Just go to the IndianaSRN app and stay up to date with all of your favorite teams. You can watch live coverage or relive the experience with our on-demand service.
Six teams on your scoreboard for both teams here after the end of quarter number 1. Alongside Craig Cox, I'm Kurt Darling. Well, Craig, we're basically back to a 3-quarter basketball game here after quarter number 1. What are your thoughts on that first half?
No, I think a lot of what we expected out of these two teams. Their main guys in terms of, Grissom on the Golden Eagle side, Colvin on the Eagle side. They've showed us what we expected in terms of leading their teams. I think that we've had good support on both sides, and we're deadlocked at 16. Great way to kick off conference play.
And so Guerin Catholic had a tie-up in the first quarter, so Heritage Christian starts the second quarter with the ball as Doss lets it fly from behind the arc to open things up, and it just a little bit short. And so Heritage Christian seemed pretty hot from behind the arc to start off the game. They've gone cold here in that regard since then.
In that type, too, you want to play the shooting percentages, that we talked about during the break, is that we've had and got Colvin with what the result of this is going to be.
And Colvin is going to let that go right off of the open court steal to put Heritage back out in front.
But you want to be able to kind of play to these percentages and not just always pulling on the long jump shots without making your opponent defend.
So Miles Colvin now has 9 points. Cherry is going to launch a big 3 from behind the arc. The sophomore getting into it now. And he is certainly, as we were talking about off the break here, Craig, is the fact that Jack Cherry, he's playing a little bit more bold here as a sophomore.
No, and you gotta like that. And again, we talked about on a few occasions how Will Grissom needs some support. And it's great to see this, certainly, as you get it from a sophomore. So, I think this Golden Eagle team will go, a lot further and have a lot more success as much as Grissom can get some support.
And there's an awkward pass from Wiggins, puts it right through the legs of John McLemore, and it goes out of play. So Jack Cherry, he's only averaging about 2.5 points a game here through the first 5 games for Guerin Catholic, and his season high is 6 points, which was the win over Ritter back on November 27th. He has 5 so far here this evening.
No, and I mean, again, these are the things that you want to see out of any players. We have Jack has a great post pass inside here to Aiden.
And that's Aiden Cannon, who can't quite finish, but Grissom tries to play cleanup, still bobbled up here. Grissom somehow comes away with it, gets the shot, but they're going to wave it off. It's going to be a foul there on Grissom there as he got a little bit too friendly with the elbows.
Yeah, you want your players, always to be active, always to be aggressive in terms of attacking the basket, playing these percentages, working your inside-outside, play along with playing complementary basketball on both ends of the floor.
Of course, we've neglected to mention here over the last minute or so that three-pointer by Jack Cherry gives Guerin their first lead of the ball game at 19-18. Here midway through the second quarter, Doss lets it fly to try and answer. He can't connect. And the loose ball fought for, and Sorensen comes away with it, and they're going to say that a timeout is going to be called by Coach Allen. And we will see how long the timeout here in just a little bit, but still a very good timeout called by Guerin Catholic. And so it's a 30-second timeout, so we'll keep it here on IndianaSRN. To become an IHSAA official, contact the IHSAA office. Get involved with the men and women behind the stripes. It's a great way to stay in shape and to make some extra money. Be part of the games. Visit IHSAA.org/officials. That's IHSAA.org/officials. Well, Craig Cox, as we've been seeing here now, Guerin Catholic, they have a 1-point advantage here. This is the first time that they've led, and we talked about it in the beginning of the game here. Guerin really looking to try and get a good bounce-back win here after that tough loss to Pendleton Heights, who, too, was winless going into that game before surrendering that one to Pendleton.
No, I mean, neither of these teams are going to play a cupcake or a short schedule, if you will. I mean, they're both very aggressive in terms of who they're scheduling and who they're playing, and the Circle City Conference in itself. Not only these two teams, but you got a team like Burbuff, who's very highly ranked in the 3A situation as well. And so, I mean, they're in a position here where they fought back. I think a lot of this has been because of Heritage has got away from what the first 2-3 minutes gave them, and most of their shots have came from beyond the arc the last 4 or 5 possessions.
And so Guerin has another chance here out of the timeout with Sorensen working it. And Camilla Chandler, a very good athlete in his own right, a transfer into Guerin. He is a little long on that shot. And good hustle by Cannon to look for the rebound, and it is going to say off of Wiggins, and it is Guerin Catholic basketball.
And see how the Golden Eagles can be successful in this out of bounds. This is their 4th one that they've had underneath their own basket, and they're 0 for 3 out of these now.
So Cherry to inbound the ball, and it is loose, but somehow gets into the hands of Chandler.
Yeah, I want to be in your position where you're not picking that dribble up. Got to really keep that dribble alive until you're really ready to pass or shoot.
So Chandler has it back. Again, Cherry feeds it inside to Cannon. Nice dish inside. He can't finish, but there's Grissom to make sure that it goes down.
Yeah, great job on Will. If you're Aiden there, you got to be able to convert that. But what a great way for Will to come there and get the cleanup basket. Great job. And you love to see that in terms of your intensity with your players crashing the boards.
And we got a full timeout called by Heritage Christian. We'll take one with them here on IndianaSRN.
We encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, IndianaSRN. Hit the bell to get notifications for upcoming games and more. Watch as many games as you want, as many times as you want.
A 3-point advantage here for Guerin Catholic as Heritage Christian calls their first timeout of the ball game. Alongside Craig Cox, I'm Kurt Darling. So if you're Heritage Christian here, Craig, obviously you've kind of let Guerin get into a little bit more of a rhythm here over the last full quarter time-wise. How do you kind of keep pace to make sure that this thing doesn't get out of hand?
Well, I think a lot of it's in the half-court game. I think, as I mentioned earlier, they got off and really had some good transition. Guerin has kind of shut that down. But how do you balance between – when your break and transition has been taken away, what do you do in the half-court set in terms of fine balance, playing the percentage? I think there's been very little that they've gotten the high ball screens that they had earlier to get downhill, kind of puncture that defense in getting in the gut or the lane to be able to get some kicks and better shots or working the high-low post game here.
So here's Doss on the elbow. And some good ball movement here from the Eagles on this possession as we go inside of 5 minutes.
In this case situation, too, trying to get downhill. Looking at these gaps. There you go.
And there's a good pick and roll inside, but Wiggins can't finish it.
Yeah, good action, though. You got to like that. And you'll take those misses compared to just one pass and a 22-foot shot.
So Guerin lucks out on the missed shot here. They keep their 3-point advantage as Sorensen finds Camilla Chandler. And once again, Cherry looking inside to Aiden. Can he finish this time? He does the senior center.
Well, the thing is Aiden's had his opportunities here down low. It's like how they're going to defend him as Cherry.
Cherry fades it underneath off the steal to Chandler.
Yeah, they've had quite a few post passes into Aiden, so they're really going to have to take a look to how they defend him.
And they're going to wave off the shot here. We'll see what they call. And you can't exactly get a feed on what the situation is at the moment, but they're going to wave off the shot.
I'm not certain what that was because it came on a missed shot on Heritage's end off the layup by Wiggins. That was a miss, and not certain what they did because it was just an outlet pass and a transition. So it's an interesting situation.
So I'm not seeing any fouls called on anybody's part. And so they may that may be a good shot, but the officials are kind of clarifying a few things here. So it looks like the shot's going to count for Camilla Chandler. That's going to be 2 points for him. And we remain at a 7-point advantage, which is the largest lead of the ball game for either team here at this juncture.
And here getting some good penetration here. Ball movement. Now we got a skip turnover here.
And nobody is there to get the long pass back outside. It looks like a miscommunication with Dylan Doss. And another turnover back to Guerin Catholic. And you definitely can tell here, Craig, is the fact that Guerin is starting to take advantage of some points-off turnover situations.
They have. I mean, it's been a combination of both Guerin doing some good things defensively, but Heritage has just gone flat and a little stagnant in terms of their approach as we see another post-entry pass to Aiden
This
again.
time you have Wiggins blocking it away, but they're going to get a whistle, and it looks like a foul is going to be called on Heritage Christian. We'll see who they get. And it is indeed going to be against Wiggins, so that'll be his first, and the fourth on Heritage Christian. This will be foul shots again for Aiden Cannon.
Yeah, and Aiden's done a great job in terms of asserting himself and establishing himself in the post, getting good pins. And like I said, they've had quite a few post-entry passes to him, and a lot of them have come in very much in a deep passing situation as opposed to being more on the wing set. They've come 10, 15-foot passes around the arcs.
And Cannon goes 0-4 right there in that possession. And now you have Colvin unloading it from there deep in the corner, and that doesn't go. Loose ball corralled and taken by Robert Sorensen.
Yeah, really good decision there. Didn't have numbers. Back it out. Try to maintain your possession. And again, we talk about Heritage, just a quick three again. When he had no rebounders, not putting in a position where you've made the defense defend you.
Sorensen in a corner for three. That's a little strong. Cherry's able to poke it back out to Grissom, and he goes downhill and lays it in. How about Jack Cherry tonight? He has been quietly doing pretty much everything. He has 2 assists to Aiden Cannon. As you see Colvin go right to the rim, he's getting rebounds as well as getting a couple offensive rebounds as well. And he goes right down low. Look at that dime down low to Cannon.
Great job making the defense commit, as they did. shovel pass right here for Aiden to have an uncontested. So really playing good heads-up basketball, playing within himself. And I think, Guerin's done a great job in the second half of the first quarter and also for this second in terms of getting themselves in the substantial lead now that they have.
And McLemore is able to get a much-needed 3-ball there for Heritage Christian. That snaps a 13-0 run for Guerin Catholic over the last 8 minutes.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to say, it's a great point, Kurt, is that they've been very flat and haven't put any points on the board. So those need to come in bunches right here before we get to the break.
Grissom splits the defenders, leaves it back out to Cannon. And some give and go right there as Cannon tries to find Grissom, and he gets tangled up down low again, and they're going to get Wiggins for his second foul, I believe, here.
Yeah, really good job there of attacking the gut. We'll see it here on the miss. Get this ball. This was actually from the play before. Great job of Will getting downhill and attacking straight line and basket.
And you see Cherry again going to take it out. And so now Wiggins is going to sit here with 2 fouls. And near you have a foul on the inbound this time, or it's going to be a 5-second call. So you see the ref give the violation hand there, so that's going to just be a little too long there for Cherry. This time you just see this excellent assist by Cherry to find Cannon.
Yeah, and these are important situations, too, when you're playing from behind and you can get a stop, whether it's just defensively or whether it's from a turnover, it's converting those, turning those stops into points.
Doss is able to kick it back out to Colvin. And again, McLemore can't really find anybody inside.
And this situation, too, where we see, they're in a zone now, but you got to pinch these guys together in terms of getting downhill. There's just too much that's happening from the perimeter, as we call trimming the edge.
Colvin gets his third dunk of the night right there, albeit it came kind of rusty, but needless to say, points are points.
Yeah, and they need these. But yeah, going back to, whether it's a man or whether it's a zone, being in a position where you're looking at the gaps and just not trimming the edge in terms of passing around the perimeter.
Sorensen, kind of a mismatch there on McLemore. And now Etchison tries to get it across the baseline, and they're going to say he stepped on the baseline, which is a pretty easy call right in front of the official, and another turnover for Guerin. So it was a 13-0 run here for Guerin Catholic going into about the last 2 minutes or so, but Heritage Christian has been able to claw back here with a quick 5-0 run of their own.
No, and you gotta like that, and certainly kudos there to Doss doing a great job on baseline defense, channeling his guy to the baseline where he forced his guy to step on the line, creating that turnover.
McLemore nearly loses it, has K. And now you see Austin Snively into the game.
I like to see when that ball gets high post like that for players to turn and face the basket, get basket vision to see not only what you can read in terms of your defender, but do you have another player cutting to the basket working the high-low game.
And now you see Colvin appearing to play the point guard position here on this possession, and he's going to get fouled by Etchison to stop the clock. Probably not a bad foul right there here, given the fact that you can at least you have some fouls to give. You stop the clock and maybe work for a possession.
No, great point. I was getting ready to bring that up. I mean, that was only their third foul. You don't want to be in a position where you're giving fouls away either, but being to where they're not anywhere close to being in the bonus doesn't hurt you, especially if you feel like you're getting ready to get beat.
Still, Guerin Catholic has a 6-point advantage as we hit the 20-second mark. K into the corner. Nice ball movement down low to find Stanton, who gets his first points.
No, great job there of actually for Mason getting the ball high, getting what we just talked about, that basket vision and finding the low guy cutting to the basket.
Etchison can't convert from the elbow as the time expires for the final shot there from Colvin. It does not go. And just like that, after Guerin led by as many as 11 points in the first half, Heritage Christian goes on a little bit of a run to cut it to a 4-point deficit here going to the halftime break. And so we take some time here to kind of digest what we just saw here. But before we go any further, unlike most broadcast companies, our funding comes primarily from donations and school subscriptions. Help us out by putting more kids on TV by clicking on our website on the donate button. Go to IndianaSRN.org to learn more. That's IndianaSRN.org. So some quick things that you see on the stat sheet here that pop out to you here quickly before we go to a break here, Craig.
Well, I mean, it's what we thought. Again, we said that after the first quarter. You know, Colvin's leading his team in scoring with 13. You know, we got Grissom leading his team with 12. They're both leading scores on their respective teams, so we kind of got what we expected there. I think and both teams at this have had some good balance with those two guys on their respective teams. But it's come, as you talked about earlier, Kurt, Jack Cherry's already at really at his average within the first half, so there's been some good things to see there. Like to see Heritage, though, get in a place where they're kind of, balancing in terms of their shot selections.
So Guerin Catholic has a 4-point advantage here at the halftime period, 29-25 on your scoreboard. Circle City Conference action here on IndianaSRN. We're getting set here for halftime, and so don't go anywhere. The second half will come up here in just a little bit. You're watching IHSAA basketball on IndianaSRN.
The Guerin Catholic Golden Eagles have 2 new sponsors for their webcast this year. Tommy Mascari with Berkshire Hathaway and Dwayne Thompson with Integrity Mortgage Group.
I've been teaching here at Guerin Catholic for 13 years. I've been assistant coach also for 13 years. And I think it's important in today's world that we have young people growing up with the morals and values of faith-based education.
Hello, I'm Dwayne Thompson with Integrity Mortgage Group, and I support Guerin Catholic High School because I'm good friends and business partners with assistant coach Tommy Mascari. And any chance I have to support a Christ-centered education for today's youth, I take advantage of that opportunity and support in any way I can with my time, effort, volunteering, funds, and commercials like these.
Together we soar. Guerin Catholic Sports on IndianaSRN.
Where you're always in the game.
Today, greed, selfish interest, and barefaced corruption seem all the fashion. America needs great men of tolerance who can give honest debate to the great issues of the day. I'm seeing mostly squabbling, men squandering their time, being wolves to one another. Yet, I'm not without hope. We still have Freemasonry. Yes, the same Freemasons that helped create this country have always provided great men when needed. And today, in every city and town in America, Freemasonry is still providing that special place where young men can find their greatness and accomplished men can give something back. Yes, in this time of great hope, it is my hope that America will see that Freemasonry is a national treasure that cannot be separated from our country's future.
I'm Mary. Welcome to Guerin Catholic High School. Many people believe that we're just like any other school, but I'm here today to show you that we're not. At Guerin Catholic, we are family. Now I know that sounds crazy, right? How can a school be like a family? Well, it all starts with St. Theodore Guerin herself. Her charisms inspire us every day. She's been praying for us since before the school was built, before we were even born. On one of her many resting places, it says, "I sleep, but I watch over the house that I have built." As a student, it's so inspiring to know that we have our own saint in heaven praying for us every day. But if you really want to understand what Guerin Catholic's all about, there's a lot more you need to know about us, starting with who we are.
Mother Guerin also has some advice for the teachers. She says, love the children first, then teach them. It is these wise words that inspires our teachers to motivate students and look for the best ways to meet each student where they are. You might think with all this love, academics might not be important, but there is nothing further from the truth. It is because of our faith in seeking the truth that we aspire to know all that we can know. But we can't stop there. We have to know how to think about the knowledge in order to make a difference in the world. Whether you need a little extra help or you're ready to be challenged with an international baccalaureate diploma or anything in between, there is a place for you at Guerin Catholic. But we're not just about academics around here. At Guerin Catholic, we are well-rounded. There are so many ways for you to get involved. Obviously, we have sports. We have 21 athletic teams, including swimming. And if you don't play a sport, we're all about supporting those that do. Our student sections are so much fun. We are spirited. And we also have 43 clubs. So if you don't see anything you like, you can start another one. We also have band, choir, orchestra, and theater. We are involved. At Guerin Catholic, there are so many ways for you to discover and use the gifts that God has given you. We are creative. Getting involved in these activities is not just about having fun. It's also about developing skills that help you become a great leader and providing opportunities for you to lead. At Guerin Catholic, we are leaders. Another great way for you to grow as a leader is through service opportunities. There are so many ways for you to share your gifts with others. Mother Guerin says, you will be happy yourself in making others happy. That's what service is all about. By connecting to local organizations or through mission trips, you'll have plenty of opportunities to serve. At Guerin Catholic, we are compassionate. There are so many opportunities to travel at Guerin Catholic, from mission trips to Costa Rica to performing in New York City. We are explorers. You will find the Guerin Catholic community all around the world, working, singing, and learning, all to get closer to Christ. Here we are at our chapel. This is where I leave you. But as you think about your future, I'll give you one last piece of advice from Mother Guerin. Do not give way to uneasiness about the future. Place yourself gently into the hands of Providence.
This is your IHSAA. This is your state. This is your high school. This is your athletic association.
Fans, I'm IHSAA Commissioner Paul Knighty, and we're here to make sure that all of this remains yours.
This is your state. This is your community. This is your IHSAA.
Heritage Christian trailing Guerin Catholic at the half here, 29-25 here on IndianaSRN. And speaking of IndianaSRN, if you need some Christmas music for your family gathering during the holidays, well, IndianaSRN.org is going to be streaming Christmas music 24/7, no commercials during the Christmas time. So be sure to tune into IndianaSRN if you need some good holiday magic brought to you right into your home. Go to IndianaSRN.org to learn more. Alongside Craig Cox, I'm Kurt Darling here. So, Craig, we're getting set for second half action here. Obviously, we talked about it briefly there before we went to the halftime period, but needless to say, some good Circle City Conference action here as Guerin Catholic is on top of Heritage Christian. Now, if you're Guerin Catholic, what do you try to do here to keep Heritage Christian from getting back into this and staying in it? Because you can see right here that Heritage Christian, they're able to put together a run even when they're down by a significant margin.
No, that's a great point. And I think, the first thing I'm thinking is how well Guerin has done after about 2 minutes into this game, and it slowed the transition game down of Heritage. They had 6 points within about the first 3 minutes, which propelled them a lot. It's kind of been the tale of two quarters. I think Guerin has done a better job in finding the balance of not only they've gotten some transition points themselves, but the outside game haven't been working a lot. They've really fed Aiden Cannon the ball quite a bit. But more importantly, they've been getting really good deep penetration downhill to the basket, which has shown some great success.
And so we're getting set for third quarter action here. Bob Allen, you see him talking to his team right there. Again, in his fourth year as the head coach of the Golden Eagles. He was at Covington and Knightstown before that. He built up two very good programs. And talking to him, but also I talked to Coach Adam Ballard here, and you might who is the head coach of Pendleton, who Guerin previously played. But it's an interesting point here, of course, you being a former head coach as well. One thing that Coach Ballard mentioned, and of course Bob Allen, I mentioned to him as well, he kind of related to it, is the fact that going from a smaller school to a bigger school, there's a difference in building a team culture. In smaller schools, which you did at Traders Point, the school is smaller, the social circles are smaller. Meanwhile, going to a bigger school, that's a little bit harder since there's a big, wider thing. How is it building a team culture on the court while there's also other cultures that these players are going through while off the court as well?
Well, I think it's a good point there. I mean, the thing is that, he's been in some great programs that he's been able to build. Obviously, there's strength in numbers, so when you're at a bigger school, you got a bigger pool to build from. But the nice thing about being with, a smaller school is your numbers not be as good, as we got a nice take here by Grissom getting his first two of the second half here, but you're in a position where you're really just have lay the foundation to have your kids buy into that, regardless of what class or size school that you're at.
And Colvin is unable to answer with a three ball, so Guerin Catholic comes out ahead here in the early going. And you see Colvin trying to go for the poke away out of bounds. He wanted it off of Guerin Catholic, but the officials not having any of that, and it will remain Guerin Catholic basketball. You certainly like to see the hustle from Miles Colvin whenever he's able to get his footing underneath him.
No, and I think what he does all through the court, that this team is really going to rely heavily on him. He's a great model for the rest of the team, and they're going to feed off that.
And so Etchison working off the screen here from Cannon. And now Sorensen trying to get off of the mismatch here, loses his footing and loses the handle on the ball, and it goes right down the sideline before finally rolling out of bounds, and it will be Heritage Christian ball.
No, going back to Coach Allen as well. He's been good two programs. One that really, Covington's a great basketball community. Turn around the Knightstown program. He's had almost a 70% winning percentage in his 3 years at Guerin. So done a great job with these young men.
Austin Snively, again, playing some limited minutes here off of the bench for Heritage Christian. And now McLemore. McLemore kind of going back and forth with Kay. Thought about pulling up right there, did the big man, but thought better of it.
This is where you'd like to see really, and here we get some post-entry pass, but, attacking these opposite elbows to get some of your kicks.
And McLemore can't connect, but Wiggins off of the offensive rebound is able to put it back.
Well, and it wasn't so much there that you see in terms of what he did with the score. It was more of the rebound. What a great carom to get there, putting himself in a position to get that putback.
It's only his fourth point of the ball game. He went completely scoreless in the second quarter. Cherry again with the assist inside to Cannon. He gets the shot to fall.
It looks like they got something. Looks like the basket will be negated. I couldn't see. The official kind of was out of our camera picture there to be able to see what he might have been signaling.
And so they don't count the basket there. He may have stepped on the baseline before going up for that shot, but either way, it's a turnover, and it remains a 4-point game. So Colvin kind of directing some traffic up top here. Again, Colvin has 11 points to lead Heritage Christian at this juncture.
Yeah, you're trying to get these high ball screens, but this is where the wings are floating so deep. They got, this zone high. This is where you really want to attack these elbows or really get on this guy's hip and then get your strong side wing to have a high-low triangle game here on this side. Great position here where they could flash.
McLemore, some good offensive passing here inside. A nice feed into Kay, and he gets the shot to fall over Cannon.
Yeah, good high-low action there, which is what you like. Post-entry pass is going to demand some presence. As they float high, the low post should be open.
So Mason Kay standing all of 6'5". He's one of the taller players on this Heritage squad. And you see it poked away, and it looks like a timeout has been called by Guerin Catholic, and it's going to be a 30-second timeout. And so Guerin Catholic. And so we just got word in here, so that's going to actually be an offensive foul called on Aiden Cannon, which was why the basket was negated. So it looked like he may have shoved the defender off a little bit there to go up for the basket to get that shot there from Jack Cherry.
Yeah, I really like what Coach Wallace from Heritage has done here in terms of getting a basket and a putback and getting some pressure on them. Kind of got them a little rattled. Obviously, Coach Allen, good use of a timeout here to kind of reconvene with his guys and kind of instruct in a way to not only build the awareness, but more importantly, how do we counter that? And so being in a position where you're not racing across that line when you are approaching not only, the guy that's guarding you, but the help that's coming and putting yourself in position to be trap susceptible.
Not to mention the fact that the way that first half ended, it kind of turned into a game of runs a little bit here, as opposed to this time it's kind of going a little bit more back and forth.
Yeah, it has.
Maybe Guerin kind of trying to keep it from becoming that game of runs.
Well, and the nice thing, too, if you show them different defensive fronts, you're throwing different defensive schemes as they have kind of a chaser. Look, they're trying to trap here. It just puts you in a position where your offense kind of can't get the continuity, kind of getting the flow of things. It's kind of hard to get your offense in sync.
And so that's going to go against Dylan Doss, I believe. Or no, they're actually going to get that to Snively. That is his first and the team's first. And so now we go back to Will Grissom, who is trying to get the scooper off the glass, and he can't connect. It's tipped out of bounds by Heritage Christian. If there's one player that we haven't exactly seen a lot of here in these first 3 minutes, it's Will Grissom.
Yeah, no, I mean, he was a beast there in the first half. It was good attack. I think one thing that Heritage missed an opportunity there, you'd like to see your guys going up for these rebounds with two hands, not one. They would have been able to possess that ball.
So Sorensen off of the inbound. And he tries to find Grissom, and it's tipped out, and it's going to be off of Guerin, and so it'll be Heritage Christian basketball.
Well, I'll tell you, as much as Aiden Cannon has kind of put his presence in terms of the post, the Heritage is really going to need to have somebody on the weak side be able to come down and prevent that lob pass from happening, as they got probably a good half dozen times in the first half.
Colvin, Euro step inside, and the delayed can't finish at the rim. Loose ball corralled here by Cherry.
Yeah, great attack by Miles. Probably put a little bit too much pastry on that one because just go up strong, tried to get that out a little bit. Made the degree of difficulty a little bit more.
And so Sorensen goes back up top to Etchison as we get halfway through this third quarter. And again, Etchison working off of a mismatch. A lot of these are mismatches here favoring Heritage, but yet Guerin has been able to at least get a little bit more control as Grissom floats it inside, and again, he can't get it off the glass, and it's going to be a blocking foul here called by Heritage Christian. An interesting call there. It looked like it may have been a charge.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I think it was on Snively, I believe, and it looked like that he had his feet set, but that's why we're calling the game, and he's calling the game.
And so that'll be Snively's second foul of the ball game, and you have Will Grissom here at the charity stripe for the first time this evening.
Well, and these are the intangibles. When you get to the line, and this is the thing that, as I got ready to say how well that Guerin shoots them as a team, almost 75% as a team, which is really good in high school basketball. Their leading scorer ends up missing his first one. But these are the types of things when you get to the charity stripe, getting in a place where you hit the majority of these just because, again, maximizing your possessions.
And so Grissom goes 1 for 2 on that one. He now has 15 points. Again, his season average is 24 a ball game. Yeah. And that's going to be an easy call for the ref up top as you see Stanton maybe drag his pivot foot just a few inches too much.
Yeah, in those positions too, he's in a position where he's picking that ball up when he wasn't in a place of decision-making to know that he was ready to pass. And you just can't put yourself in those positions. Really good.
And here's
downhill.
Grissom going around the defender inside. It's tipped out of play, and it will be Heritage Christian basketball. You mentioned how Colvin put a little too much pastry earlier there. I'm curious, what kind of pastry exactly?
I can't call that, but the first thing comes to mind, a little bit too much icing, I guess. But yeah, and I'd love to see Heritage work more of this mid-range game around the high post. They've had a little bit of success the two times that they've really done that, but they just got to get some more downhill attacks. Guerin's doing a good job of extending their offense, which is tougher to set your offense when it's like that. So that's why as the higher those two guys get on this zone, you got to really expose the high post.
Dortch finds McLemore in stride a little, as you said there, Coach, a little too much icing. And it goes back the other way to Guerin Catholic. And Grissom kind of going hot potato around the horn here. Back to Grissom inside. No shot. They're going to say he was held on the floor, and it'll be a foul on Heritage.
Well, Will Grissom, you saw a little bit of this in the first half too, to where his downhill attacks, he's got some good upper body strength, but he does a good job of actually drawing contact, which is what you like. Even though these aren't fouls early on here, they already got 3, so they should be in a position where they're actually getting into the bonus early, if not midway through this fourth quarter.
So Mason Kay picks up his first foul. That's the team's third of the half, and Guerin will keep the basketball. And here's Grissom again, waiting a little bit, and goes around the horn to Etchison.
Like to see, too, when these high post players flash high and don't get the ball, follow your cut and just get a ball screen. Think about activity. We think a lot about player movement, ball movement, and good spacing, but we got to be in a position, too, where the post players are staying active within their half-court sets.
So Kamea Chandler up top holding it, and this is a long possession for Guerin Catholic.
Well, you got to like it, too. Indiana's still in that position with no shot clock, so if you don't want to go, don't go. Still one possession game, though, so it's very manageable for both sides.
Going the long game here is Guerin, and Etchison comes up dry right there going down low. McLemore puts the teardrop up, can't get it to go. The whistle was called before the dunk was put in by Colvin, so that is no shot. And we will see who the foul is on here, and it may be against Cherry. And no, it's going to be against Matthew Etchison, his third.
No, and really, really good job there by McLemore on the other end. Had a good attack by Etchison with Guerin getting downhill, but McLemore did a good job of holding his ground as he hits his first one here and put him in a position of transition and drawing this foul as he looks to line up for his second of the 2.
And so that cuts it to a 2-point ball game. And there are both free throws here for John McLemore. And so in this regard here, McLemore, along with Nolan Duncan, Heritage Christian is 4 for 4 from the charity stripe so far.
And after this, you're seeing them set up with some full court containment. Don't think that they'll be trapping out of it. Might get some run and jump, but looking just to contain the ball. This is where you just want to stay in front of him, contain, and guard your yard as Cherry gets right around with it.
Cherry with the dish down low to Cannon. And you see a lot of these assists here so far this evening. The basket counts, and Aiden Cannon is going to try and go for an old-fashioned three-point play here. But you see a lot of good chemistry here between these two players and Cherry and Cannon.
Yeah, and again, go till you're guarded. And when the guy committed, he dropped it off. Aiden put himself in a great position to get what was probably a pretty easy finish and see if he can convert this three-point play. But really good job there of Jack in transition. Really composed and played within himself and done a lot of the intangibles tonight.
And Cannon is unable to convert there on the extra free throw. But it's still back to a 3-point ball game, but still a one-possession game here for Heritage.
So you look through just the lane here. We got Colvin coming up high here, but really trying to work the keyhole, your elbow triangles from the high post down to your 2 blocks, and trying to work that high-low game.
McLemore on the wing here.
Good.
Looks inside to Colvin. He tries to split the defender, blocked out of bounds, and they're going to get Cannon for just a little bit of skin there, and it's going to be a foul. They're actually going to get Cherry with it this time. And so that'll be Cherry's first foul of the ball game and the team's third of the half.
And you too, this might be, I'm not, you can correct me, Kurt, if I'm wrong, but I don't know if Colvin's been to the line tonight.
He has not. Yeah, this will be the first time tonight.
Which is a little surprising. I mean, he's a transitional type player, but as Guerin has taken that away a lot, you want to try to maximize his touches, not only for his athleticism and strength, but just his skill set and trying to put himself in position, because he's just going to be a load in terms of how high he can finish and his strength and body control. You think he'd draw a lot of fouls.
And so Colvin hits both foul shots. He now has 13 points on the night. And that's one thing that stands out here, Coach, is the fact that Miles Colvin, he has not scored from the field at all this third quarter.
And if you're the Golden Eagles, that's what you want. We talked about at the beginning of the game. You can kind of keep him in that 18-point range. You're really in a good position.
Back outside to Sorensen. Grissom wide open up top for three, and he hits it.
His first three of the night, and he's putting the points up on the board as we might have expected.
He has 18 now on the night. Just 6 points shy of his season average.
It's just not a lot of activity. If you're seeing that there's just not a lot of activity off the ball. Again, there's just a lot of perimeter work, not a lot of ball screens in this zone, whether it's pin screens from the weak side, getting skip passes around the perimeter here.
Man, there's Stanton, who tries to answer with a three of his own, but he comes back down low off the rebound from Wiggins, and Stanton is going to get swatted on the wrist there, and a foul called on Guerin.
Yeah, great. Obviously Wiggins got the ball down low, got some defensive presence, but Staten did a great job in terms of attacking the basket or the lane, obviously without the ball, and a great find by Wiggins to have him draw the foul.
So Aiden Cannon picks up his second foul of the ball game, and there is the first miss at the foul stripe tonight for Heritage Christian as Stanton comes up empty on that one. But now if you're Guerin, you have it back to a two-possession ball game. That was a big three-pointer from Will Grissom on that last possession.
That was. Stretch us out a bit more from a one-point game now to a four, and he misses both of these. Probably get Guerin to play for the last shot, I would imagine.
Heritage now 6 of 8 at the foul stripe tonight, and Grissom is going to get bumped around a little bit. It goes out of play, and it will stay with Guerin.
And there he is again, drawing another foul.
So 14 seconds to work with here for the Golden Eagles. Heritage and Guerin have played each other fairly close here throughout this one. And not a lot of scoring from the field. And so you've got another foul here on Lewis Stanton, his first actually, the fifth on Heritage Christian. So less than 10 seconds here, and it goes almost over and back. A nice save by Will Grissom. He pulls up from Steph Curry territory right there, and it goes just a little long, and it will be a 4-point advantage here for Guerin Catholic going to quarter number 4. Back in a minute here on IndianaSRN.
Burtner Electric Incorporated has been proudly serving our residential and commercial customers with quality electrical repair for over 33 years. We are fully licensed and insured in electrical wiring and electrician service packages. You'll receive a competitive assessment, whether you're a homeowner or a business owner, first-time or long-time customer. We offer free estimates for any new project. Call our licensed and experienced electricians today.
Can't make it to the game? We've got your back. Just go to www.IndianaSRN.org and tune in to all of the live action, or go to our on-demand service and relive your favorite moments.
Guerin Catholic outscores Heritage Christian 9-8 that quarter. But needless to say, it is a 37-33 ball game here on IndianaSRN. Alongside Craig Cox, I'm Kurt Darling. Well, Craig, one more quarter to go here. Needless to say, both teams are trying to look for a little bit of a break to kind of break that third quarter stalemate.
No, I mean, it's obviously very manageable for the deficit. You know, you're at a two-possession game, plenty of basketball. 8 minutes is a ton of time. See if Heritage can get back to getting some of these transition points. Guerin has done a great job here. You'll love to see the student section here doing their thing. But no, it's what you would expect with these two programs, and certainly kicking off conference play.
So Heritage starts the fourth and final quarter of this contest with the basketball. And Colvin's going to pull up from the elbow, and that is a big shot from him in traffic.
Yeah, tough shot. Obviously, had two defenders collapse on him, hands in his face, 15 feet. as we got Cherry really getting downhill.
And he gets fouled before he gets rid of the ball right there, so it's going to be another foul on the floor. This time it's going to be against Austin Snively. That is his third foul off the bench and the team's sixth. And, of course, that's a note right there here, Coach, because one more foul and you're putting Guerin Catholic in the 1-and-1 bonus.
Yeah, and with a whole quarter to go. And they've done a really good job.
Free ball from Grissom. He now has 21 points on the night.
Yeah, and that's a great way, to open up your inside play when you can start hitting the deep ball.
Up top here now to Snively. McLemore trying to work again on Sorensen, and Sorensen has certainly done an excellent job on McLemore tonight, as you see Doss fire it and then get his own rebound. And McLemore's double-teamed and puts up another shot, and the rebound into the hands of Cannon.
Yeah, just a tough shot by McLemore, and one's not only off balance, hands in his face, kind of a little floater. And so you would just want to, with a big frame like he's got, is really getting downhill with a power dribble, getting him on your hip, trying to draw some fouls, initiating the contact.
Nice dish down low to Sorensen from Cherry, but a putback there by Cannon. And Aiden Cannon now with 11 points on the night. That is a new season high for him. His previous season high was 9 points against Ritter back on the 27th. As you see Colvin back underneath to get another 2.
Yeah, those are the easy ones to get here, and you got a quick timeout after the score here by Coach Wallace that Heritage is taking. Looks like it's going to be a full timeout.
And we take one with them here on IndianaSRN.
You want a career that fuels your passion for sports and physical activity. IUPUI School of Health and Human Sciences offers that and more. You'll have insider access to sports, fitness, and exercise science professionals and learn from faculty with years of industry experience. And with Indy as your classroom, you'll study next to world-class sports facilities, Olympic governing bodies, the NCAA, and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. There isn't a better city than Indianapolis to get the experience you need to launch your sports industry career. It all starts here.
Can't get to a computer? Then we've got you covered. Just go to the IndianaSRN app and stay up to date with all of your favorite teams. You can watch live coverage or relive the experience with our on-demand service.
Stay up to date with all of the sports by using our sports page at IndianaSRN.org or Troy at RadioTroy.com. Scores, stats, and much more. Visit IndianaSRN.org for more information. You can also catch up with what's going on the IHSAA Foundation. Subscribe to our newsletter, The Advocate, or email us at ihsaa.foundation.org. Out of the timeout here alongside Craig Cox, I'm Kurt Darling. Guerin Catholic going to try and extend a little bit here as they have their largest lead of this second half here at 5 points.
Well, and you get in those situations too. It's I think a great move by Coach Wallace again to put yourself in a position where you're putting a little bit of contained pressure. But what you can't have in terms of your players, 60, 70, 80 feet from the basket, getting in a place where you get overzealous for the ball and reaching in, especially when your opponent's in the 1-on-1 with 6 minutes to go. These become some chip shots, but at the same time, Grissom misses the front end of the 1-on-1.
And so even though you get the free throws, you still have to make them, as Colvin with a finger roll down low. He has 6 straight points for Heritage Christian.
Well, it only took 4 seconds off the clock after the miss, so that's a great job there. But in these types of situations, you want to just contain. You don't want to belly up your guy, and this is what happens here. Cherry did a great job here.
Cherry slams it to Cannon.
Yeah, you got to be in a position where you're just guarding your yard, staying in front of him, getting a cushion. When you allow your offensive player to get on your hip, it's downhill from there, and Cherry did a great job of going to the guy committed with the dump pass to Aiden for the dunk.
And there's almost a steal by Etchison. Colvin spins around at the elbow, can't get the shot to fall. Rebound to Grissom. And now Grissom working right there on Colvin. Sorensen in the corner for 3, just off of the mark. And Doss comes away with the rebound. Long pass to McLemore, gets around Cherry, and lays it in for an easy 2.
Good job there, and really good block out to start that transition by Doss. Really great job sealing off his guy to get that board and get the quick outlet.
So still at a 3-point advantage for Guerin Catholic. That's pretty much where the advantage has hovered around over the last quarter and a half or so. As
one possession game here.
And this time Cherry opts to take it himself as opposed to dumping it off and almost comes away with the offensive rebound. Snively gets it across the timeline and finds it to Doss. McLemore again working on Etchison. And here you have Heritage Christian kind of taking their time.
As again, we talked about earlier, where you got the high post guy right here. If he's not open, step out, get your ball screens, get some action on the ball to get downhill to make the next guy pinch to get your kicks.
And so Doss opts to back it back out here. Some stiff zone defense, bounce down low to Colvin, and he is going to be fouled from behind by Will Grissom.
Good job, and there's a perfect example of working the high-low action. Get the ball to the extended wing, guy gets a ball screen, dives off of that, and gets a high-low action for Miles to be able to draw this foul. Really nice job here by Cherry on the replay, finding Aiden here for the dunk.
And speaking of that here, Craig, 1, 2, 3, 4, the last 5 shots that Cannon has there, as you see Colvin knock down the first of 2 free throws he has, but the last 5 shots, meaning the last 10 points that Aiden Cannon has scored, they have all come off of assists from Jack Cherry. Needless to say, I think Aiden Cannon may need to buy Jack Cherry a soda pop here later.
Where we're going after the game, that's right. And mind you, too, he's a sophomore in Jack Cherry. He's leading the team in assists with almost 5 a game.
So Jack Cherry working it all over the floor here this evening. Again, he only has 5 points. To his credit, that's just a little bit over his average, but he's certainly having his impact felt elsewhere. As you see Cherry working the post down low. Look at him do it.
Yeah, great job asserting himself there. As we have sometimes, we'll call them mouses in the house.
But there's the cat in the hat right there here for John McLemore as he works it inside.
You got tit for tat, still on a 1-possession game here, inside 4 minutes. This is what you expect and what you like in terms of high school basketball, and the SRN bring it right here for you.
So Jack Cherry still working it up top, has Grissom, Euro step inside, can't get the finger roll off the glass, but he's going to draw a foul there, and it looks like that may be Stanton who picks up his third, I believe.
Yeah, great heads-up play there by Will because the Heritage Christian player had his feet set, hitting with the Euro step. Good footwork, body control to avoid that charge and pick up the foul to get 2 shots. And I tell you, he struggled from the line here in the second half. This is his 3rd miss in a row. And the last one was obviously on the front end of a 1-on-1. This one had to be a shooting foul.
He has gone 1 of his last 4 foul shots, has Will Grissom. And now he's gone 1 of his last 5. So Will Grissom certainly struggling from the charity stripe, despite the fact that he has 21 points on the night from the field. And here's McLemore for a long 3, and that is a go-ahead shot for Heritage Christian.
Great job there by McLemore setting his feet, being ready off the penetration off Miles to be able to get that shot off, and more importantly, knocking it down to give them the first lead that they've had in a while.
Guerin Catholic trying to avoid their second loss to a winless team in a row. They lost to Pendleton Heights back on Tuesday. They were 0-5 going into that contest, and now you have a timeout called by Guerin Catholic, and we take one with them here on IndianaSRN.
Becoming a licensed sports official is a great way to make a positive difference in the community and support the over 160,000 Indiana student athletes that participate across 22 IHSAA sports. Sports officiating allows you to stay connected to the game, become a role model for our young student athletes, earn extra money, and support the patrons and communities of our IHSAA member schools. To learn more about becoming a licensed IHSAA official, log on to ihsaa.org/officials today.
We encourage you to follow us on Twitter at IndianaSRN. Find upcoming games, video highlights, and much more. Follow us now at IndianaSRN.
A close game indeed here as Heritage Christian leads Guerin Catholic by 1 point, and they get the lead off of this big shot from John McLemore.
Yeah, and and he's had 3 of those tonight. But he hit 2 early on. But what a great time to pick that up to give them their first lead that they've had, maybe even in this second half, if I'm not mistaken.
And so altogether, Macklemore has 7 points in this half, or in this quarter, rather. He has 15 total on the night. A quiet 15, nonetheless.
You get this high ball screen here. How you defend those. It's the toughest thing in all levels of basketball to defend is the ball screen.
And Cannon gets a tough pass inside, and it gets tipped out of play, and it looks like it will be Guerin basketball.
And it's picked up, the pace in terms of defensively for the Eagles in terms of playing passing lanes and certain containment. What you got to be careful of is more in the full court pressure to where you get hipped to the place where you get beat. So really give them that cushion. But it gets compressed quite a bit when you're in the half-court game and you start to get to that three-point line. But Heritage has done a good job of being closer to the passing lanes.
And so it looks like the ball ran into a water bottle on the Guerin bench, so they had to dry off the ball. And, of course, nobody wants to be playing with a wet ball out there on a dry court.
No, not at all.
So now you see Luke Peters check into the ball game. Now he is a senior, or rather a junior, standing 6'8". He is the tallest player on the Heritage bench. So needless to say, Coach Wallace may be looking for a little bit of size to make it a little bit tougher down low.
Yeah, and this is where you got to be careful. I was just going to say how you defend Aiden, but he's coming out. So you want to be in a position here where you're really, really forcing Guerin to go high on this and play on this and really trying to create some havoc defensively here.
And so they inbound it to Cherry. Approaching the 2-minute mark in this ball game, and it is certainly a close one. Guerin Catholic went to overtime against Pendleton Heights 3 days ago. And now you have Cherry off of the screen from Grissom.
And this is where, when they're not switching on these screens, this is where the guy receiving the screen's got to turn that corner and get downhill.
Chandler tries to split the defenders. Hits Grissom in stride. Floater along the baseline. A nice assist there from Chandler.
Yeah, and a tough shot by Grissom.
And he now has 5 points in this quarter. It sails out of play there off of Guerin Catholic. And so it'll be Heritage Christian basketball. We were talking during the break here, Coach, is the fact that, Guerin would probably still have the lead had Will Grissom hit at least 4 of those shots right there.
Yeah, the
and
free
so
throws have been big.
That just goes to show you how big free throws can be.
They are, and especially even more so the more the game goes on, how much bigger they become.
Stanton off of the floater, Aiden, and he can't quite get that there.
It's like Luke Peters. What was that? Peters on the putback? Oh no, it was actually Mason K.
That was going to be K. Yeah. So either way, you see Grissom going right to K there again, and now Colvin Euro step around Chandler and he lays it in, and
it's intentional foul he's calling,
and they're going to get an intentional foul, so he's going to get the and one with it, and that right there, Coach, is why Colvin is getting eyes from Purdue University.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, he's getting here. And it looks like the refs are consulting with each other. But on everyone, this could, in the possession of the ball as well, could mean a 5-point play.
And so they count it. The basket is good, and it's going to be an intentional foul. So it's just like a common foul. You get the and one, but the difference is Heritage Christian gets possession after this free throw.
Yeah, and that's really big. In terms of, the defensive play that they come up. We talked about this earlier. When you can get stops, especially when you're playing behind, as they have been most of the second half, even though they're ahead now, when you can get stops, not to mention successive stops as they have, you can convert those into points, and very unconventionally here where they're getting the and one and the ball. These are huge. Very, very big free throw right here to push this to a 2-possession game and then possessing the ball after.
And so the foul is on Robert Sorensen, and he picks up his 3rd foul of the ball game. And so the officials are still discussing things here as you see Miles Colvin standing at the foul stripe all by himself. Now remember, this wouldn't be a technical foul shot. It would only be 1 free throw.
Which he's sitting at 22 now, eyeing his 23rd point and possessing the ball after this.
And so the officials having a word there with Coach Wallace.
This is a situation, too, Kurt, where, you're coming out of these free throws and you possess this ball here next. Guerin probably can't afford to sit back and play the zone now. offensively, Heritage can probably be in a position where they can be in a position where they can spread the floor a little bit more, which really kind of plays to some of the penetration points and how they utilize Colvin.
And so you get the foul shot right there, and now you see players lining up. This is an interesting situation here where the officials are still trying to figure out exactly how to proceed in this situation. Again, they called an intentional foul on Robert Sorensen.
It looks like that they're going to try to give explanation to both coaches, which is a really great point that the official's doing, is trying to provide clarification, bringing the coaches together, having them be on one accord, so we can get ball back in play, but everybody's working and operating on the same page. Really good point of officiating there.
Yeah, you can, of course, you can appreciate that more than anybody, you being a former coach in your own right.
Yeah, there's been plenty of times where a lot of that hasn't taken place. Call, and you get no explanation, but great job here by the official.
And so a timeout called on the floor. We'll take one with them here on Indiana SRN.
I'm Keith Myers, Vice President of IndianaSRN. Thanks for joining us. Do you know IndianaSRN broadcasts 350 games a year? All sorts of sports? Yeah, we do. Hard to believe, isn't it? IndianaSRN loves to put student athletes first on our website. If you're a business out there, we probably could help you too. Contact us at coach@indianasrn.org. Grandma from out of state thanks you. Mom and Dad who can't get to the game thanks you as well. In fact, our athletes watch the games over and over again. Our military has enjoyed the games as well. So sit back and enjoy the game. It's Indiana SRN.
Get a look at the Christmas-themed student section here at Guerin Catholic High School, getting into the holiday spirit. Of course, most of these kids are now probably on holiday break now this week, going back for about a couple of weeks or so before they come back for the next semester. Now, this is an interesting situation here, Craig Cox, as you see.
But it looks like that they didn't hit the first one. That I think they waved off the free throw because it would have made it a two-possession game at 52. So this is actually the and one.
And there you have it. So they got it right this time. So it's still one free throw, and it was made by Miles Colvin. So that was the and one off of the made shot, and we continue play as Kamea Chandler takes advantage of Heritage Christian kind of getting caught on their feet right there. And now Colvin comes back the other way, and he draws a foul.
Yeah, you're in that situation where you hit a free throw, and you end up now trying to play defense, and you give your opponent an uncontested layup within 5 seconds. Just can't put yourself in that position, especially when it's a two-possession game and then you're making it a one-possession game. It was just too quick and uncontested. Just not good defensive transition there by the Eagles.
Both teams are in the bonus now, as you see Miles Colvin adding to his free throw total. He has only missed one all night long. He is 5 for 6.
And these become paramount at this place. At this point for both teams. Clock is stopped. Still a one-possession game, so big free throws.
And he knocks down both of them. And so just like that here, Coach, we are now at a 4-point advantage for Heritage Christian.
Yeah, a little surprised that we're seeing the full court pressure that they are, because what that does is extend your defense and leaves more gaps on the backside for Guerin.
And Grissom can't convert the three-pointer as time ticks down to within a minute. And just like that, now Guerin Catholic finds themselves in a very interesting spot after they had led for pretty much the entirety of those middle two quarters. Now Heritage Christian looking like they could be on the verge of getting their first win of the season.
Yeah, and on not only that, too, Guerin's has put Heritage in a position where they're in the 1-1 as well, and they can play at a place where – not that you want to play stall ball, but at this place here, you want to spread the floor and really put yourself in a position where you're working that high-low game and getting little bunnies, as we call them, or layups, if you will. So, yeah, it'd be a great win, first win, not only of the season, but it's kind of like a double win because you not only get one for the season, but you also get one up on the conference. With it being a conference foe. So really good job here, but there's a lot of basketball to play. 52 seconds is a long, long time especially when you have a couple timeouts left for each team. You're in a position where both teams are in foul trouble in terms of and not so much foul trouble, but in the bonus situation and shooting.
So Guerin Catholic has 2 full timeouts left. Heritage Christian only has 1 30-second timeout remaining, as we are now at 52 seconds remaining in this contest. And Colvin has the honor of taking it out right in front of the Guerin Catholic bench.
And this is a situation, too, with as much time as you have. Guerin Catholic, you don't have to foul right now. You just want to play through the possession a little bit, see if you might be able to cause a turnover or get a steal, if you will. And right away they foul. So we'll see what this. Doss, I don't believe, has been to the line tonight himself. So this could be interesting to see how he fares here at the stripe.
And so Etchison picks up foul number 4. Doss has only gotten 1 shot all night long for 2 points. He has not been to the foul stripe at all, and so this is going to be the first time we'll see him there in that regard.
Push in on this free throw.
And this big, I mean, still would keep it to a 2-possession game if he hits both of these, but you also force 2 threes for that.
And he misses the front end right there. But he get the offensive rebound corralled by Wiggins. A big rebound and another foul here. This time it'll be Chandler. And that'll be his first.
Yeah, and probably a good foul at that. Guys just shooting for the first time, misses on the front end of a 1-and-1, put him right back on the line. But this is a great way for Dylan to redeem himself, if you will, after missing that first one. But, yeah, great job here by Andrew Wiggins in fighting to get that offensive rebound to keep the ball in their possession.
And you see Wiggins, he's only a junior, standing 6'4", as well as Colvin. And that just goes to show you that this is a young Heritage team, and Dylan Doss misses both of those 1-and-1s right there, and Guerin Catholic now has a chance to get this one back as Cherry goes inside and hits Chandler right in stride off of the dish from Cherry.
I was getting ready to say, guess who had the assist there? Really good job there. I was going to say, you don't need a 3. You're down 2 possessions. You don't need a 3 in that situation. If it comes off some good action, you do that, but you just play for the best shot in that place because there's still a plethora of time left and cutting it now to a 1-possession game.
Tonight's game brought to you by the Morales Group. We can match you with the right career or hire the right candidate for your career company as well. We do so much more than that, though. Let us help you out today. Contact Morales Group at 317-472-7600. That's 317-472-7600. Now, I haven't been keeping track of assists here tonight, Coach, but needless to say, if anybody is leading in that regard, it certainly has to be Jack Cherry.
No, I think without question. Don't have anything officially on him, but I would say he's definitely probably around the 8 territory in terms of assists. And anytime you're in that area approaching 10 in high school basketball, it's pretty incredible. I mean, just as a team, they're only averaging 13 assists as a team, and he's had a bunch of them tonight. Really has played a very, very composed game, hasn't had a lot of turnovers. What I've really liked about his game tonight is he's gotten downhill and made the next guy guard him. And when you start making the next line of defense guard you, that's what's going to be open, and has really shown some great heady play tonight. And the great thing about all this is Coach Allen has him for 2 more years as he's only a sophomore.
Exactly, and of course, when you're talking about Heritage Christian, you've got 1 more year out of Wiggins as well as Colvin. Just a lot of talent here for Heritage Christian that is both young and coming back for another year, as you see a foul again here by Guerin, and that's going to be Kamia Chandler's second.
Well, and I think you could tell there the instruction of Coach Allen with his players was if Doss gets it, let's foul him. He's had 2 1-and-1s, and he's missed both on the front end of both of them, and so now he's at a place where he has 2 shots now that they've reached the 10th foul. So even if you miss one, you still got a position where you can force the 3-point lead to force them to take a 3.
Again, Doss, a transfer in from Cathedral, and again, he misses at the line. He has missed 3 in a row. And, of course, if you're Guerin, you're pretty much buying points back every time that he misses.
You are, and the great thing, too, I like that he's stepping off the line, but sometimes that can get the psyche of a young player when you're in those positions where you've missed 3 in a row, and now you got the 4th to try to send it to a 3, and he hits it.
And this time he hits it, and that gives him 3 on the night. Still a 1-possession ball game here for Guerin Catholic.
Still like the idea of going for your best shot. If it happens to be a 2, but you don't play just for a 3. But as the time's coming down now, they might need to look for that as they've dribbled through this, and you get one here.
Long 3 does not fall there for Guerin Catholic. And another foul coming up here on Chandler.
Yeah, I don't like the situation there in terms of it looked like that they were really playing for that. There was about 18, 17 seconds left. You get downhill quick enough in transition, you got plenty of time, and you make it a 1-point game and then hope that they might hit 1 of 2 when you have to foul. Because to me, it's about extra possessions. You might get the 2 for 1 as Macklemore goes to the line to maybe push this to a 2-possession game.
So that's Sorensen's second foul. And Macklemore, a good free throw shooter this evening, continues to keep it at that. He is now 3 for 3. And that's probably the biggest free throw of the night right there to make it 2 possessions.
Well, and it's been great on his part. You know, I think he's unofficially around 16 points. But great job on his part with what he's doing and adding the extra scoring punch. We talked about that at the top of the hour in the pregame in terms of both Grissom for the Golden Eagles and Colvin for the Eagles. Who's the complementary player is going to be? And night in and night out, that could change. But each night they need to have 1, if not 2 guys that are scoring in double figures. And certainly Macklemore has done his part tonight in terms of the second half.
You mentioned how unofficial it is. I unofficially have John Macklemore off the bench with 18 points.
That's great job on his part. That they can get a guy that's getting 16 to 18 on any given night, and again, the player may change, and another guy that's getting 10. That's complimentary basketball, and they need that in the half-court set.
So Macklemore looking to make it 19, and he cannot do it right there as he misses the second one.
Still a 2-possession game. Looks like we're going to get a foul here.
And that was...
Or he looks like he stepped out of bounds on the sideline.
Oh, and that's just an unfortunate turnover by Guerin Catholic with 2 seconds left in this one. And that pretty much
should
seals the deal. And if you're Guerin Catholic, that's certainly a tough one, giving away this one after leading most of the game. But also, this is your second win in a row against second loss in a row against a winless team.
Yeah, and really good job there by the Eagles too of getting a little bit of applied pressure to Grissom to force him into that turnover. We talk a lot about defensively, some kids get so anxious that they try for the turnover and reaching in and trying to get the steals, and they end up a lot of times with fouls. Sometimes just by your sure presence, sometimes you can create the turnover just through containment.
And a missed foul shot there by Luke Peters, who comes off the bench here late in this ball game.
We talked earlier, too. I mean, anytime you can get wins in conference, it becomes a double win. And so you got to like that certainly for Coach Wallace and his Eagles getting in the win column now after playing 3 of their 4 games, playing 4A programs.
Long ball there from Grissom goes right off the front of the rim. It wouldn't have mattered, though. And that does it here for Heritage Christian and Guerin Catholic as the Golden Eagles fall to the Eagles of Heritage. Final score 56-52. Don't go anywhere, though. The Connor Insurance postgame show coming at you next after this quick timeout here on IndianaSRN.
They say nice guys don't finish first. So maybe it's time to reconsider what it means to be first.
It's about being your best, but knowing you could be even better.
It's being present, but respectful of history.
You sure you want to make that move?
It's donating something more valuable than money.
It's believing in yourself and something bigger.
It's coming from different families, but treating each other like brothers.
It's not just being a man, it's being a Mason.
We encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, IndianaSRN. Hit the bell to get notifications for upcoming games and more. Watch as many games as you want, as many times as you want.
Welcome back. It's the Connor Insurance postgame show here on Indiana SRN alongside Craig Cox. I'm Kurt Darling. Before we go any further about talking about what just transpired, keep in mind that there's more to transpire here on Indiana SRN coming up in just the coming days, as you have a big matchup coming up tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. Greenwood Christian, the girls, are taking on the Panthers of Park Tudor. Then on the same day, a little bit later, in boys action, you'll have Greenwood Christian taking on Bethesda. Then also later on in the evening, right around that same time at 2:30 p.m., Heritage Christian, the Eagles, the team you just saw play here this evening, they are going to be hosting the Fighting Irish of Cathedral. The girls, rather, are going to be tipping off at 2:30 p.m. Then you also have Traders Point and University boys matchup. Coach, your former team right there going to be taking on University at 7:30 p.m. And then rounding out the coverage here for Indiana SRN tomorrow in boys action, you have Cecina Memorial, the Crusaders, playing host to the Eagles of Heritage Christian. That game in the boys action tipping off at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. I'll bring back Craig Cox here in just a little bit. One more time out here on Indiana SRN, the Connor Insurance postgame show.
Would have been different.
Back live here at Guerin Catholic High School here on Indiana SRN as the Golden Eagles fall to Heritage Christian at 56-52. Let's take a look at the rundown on the stat sheet here. First, let's go through it for Heritage Christian. The leading scorer tonight for Heritage Christian was Miles Colvin. He had 23 points after 11 in the first half. He finishes with 23 on the night. John McLemore off of the bench coming tonight here with 18 points, a new season high for him. 4 points for Andrew Wiggins, 3 points for Dylan Doss, 2 points for Nolan Duncan, 2 as well for Lewis Stanton, and then also 2 points as well for Mason Kay. Now for Guerin Catholic, the leading scorer was Will Grissom. He is right at his season average. He had 23 points tonight, 13 points added on here for Aiden Cannon, most of those coming off of almost 8 assists tonight from Jack Cherry, who finished 7 points in his regard as well. 6 points for Camilla Chandler, and then 2 points for Robert Stanton. Well, here, Coach Craig Cox, we're taking a look here at these stats here. Obviously, we pretty much have our consensus for player of the game, even though Miles Colvin had 23 points, as did Will Grissom. Our player of the game tonight is by far has to be John McLemore.
No, I think anytime that you can get this type of contribution coming off your bench, we talked about in the pregame, these two players on these respective teams need some extra support coming from other players, whether that's one that starts or whether that's one coming off the bench like McLemore did tonight. Not only that, he hit some very crucial free throws down the stretch, and he had 2 putbacks around where all this started with about 5.5, 6 minutes to go in the game, where the tide started to turn a lot, and they had picked up their first lead that they had in the second half, as we see some replay here. So great job there. Really, really good quality win for Coach Wallace, not only being a conference one, but getting them in the win column. We talked about earlier they've played 3 of their 4 games against 4A programs, this one tonight being a 3A. So great job there as they'll move forward with their next game. Quick turnaround with Cecina tomorrow night.
And then also, we have our 6th man of the game award. Now, typically the 6th man is to give it to someone who comes off of the bench, but you know what? Since we gave our player of the game to a player that came off of the bench, I'm partial to say that the 6th man of the game actually probably has to go to Jack Cherry, just with the way that he's been throwing dimes, like you'll see right here going into tonight.
Yeah, and not only from an assist standpoint, but I talked about earlier too. The young man played very, very very poised, played with a lot of composure, didn't make a lot of turnovers, plays within himself, protects the ball, good ball security, and has really shown some great leadership ability as a sophomore out here for the Golden Eagles.
We'll wrap things up here at the other end of this final timeout here on the Connor Insurance postgame show. You're watching IndianaSRN.
The Guerin Catholic Golden Eagles have 2 new sponsors for their webcast this year. Tommy Mascari with Berkshire Hathaway and Dwayne Thompson with Integrity Mortgage Group.
I've been teaching here at Guerin Catholic for 13 years. I've been assistant coach also for 13 years. And I think it's important in today's world that we have young people growing up with the morals and values of faith-based education.
Hello, I'm Dwayne Thompson with Integrity Mortgage Group, and I support Guerin Catholic High School because I'm good friends and business partners with assistant coach Tommy Mascari. And any chance I have to support a Christ-centered education for today's youth, I take advantage of that opportunity and support in any way I can with my time, effort, volunteering, funds, and commercials like these.
Together we soar. Guerin Catholic Sports on IndianaSRN.
Where you're always in the game.
The Heritage Christian Eagles celebrating a good win here this evening as they beat Guerin Catholic 56-52. A quick look at the schedules here as Heritage Christian, they will be taking on Cecina tomorrow night. You can catch that game right here on IndianaSRN. Then they have 3 more road games at Triton Central, Indianapolis Tindley, and Covenant Christian as well. Then you have Guerin Catholic. They are going to be taking on Lapel here in 4 days' time. They have that on December 21st, and then they will also be taking on Lebanon December 23rd, and then they have a neutral site game against Warren Central. That going to be on December 29th. Well, Coach Craig Cox here once again, final score 56-52. Your final thoughts before we wrap up here tonight?
Well, I think, obviously both these teams, playing a conference game tonight, now heading into the holidays after this weekend, you got a big gap with Heritage, and they might need that after. Hopefully they can get another win tomorrow night, have a good gap 12 days, because then they have 3 really good tests being on the road at Triton Central, a good Tinley team, a good Covenant team, so they'll be needing that heading into the new year. And then certainly on the Golden Eagle side, have to bounce back. Obviously they have a few days to let this set in, and a game that's very winnable for them against Lapel before heading into the holidays themselves.
Heritage Christian moves to 1-4. Guerin Catholic falls to 3-3. Well, Craig, it's been a pleasure working with you here this evening.
Likewise.
Well, for all of us here at IndianaSRN, for Ken Thomason on the camera, for Jerry Collins, our on-site engineer, for Craig Cox, I'm Kurt Darling saying so long till next time. You have been watching IndianaSRN.